What's up, world? Welcome back to Authentically Us, the podcast where we talk about what it means to be authentic in everything that you do. I'm one of the hosts here. I'm ConRoy, and we got your man, everybody's favorite, Tony. Say what's up to people.
Tony the Morton right here with y'all. Let's go. Let's get it.
Guys, we have an amazing episode, and I really don't want to hold you guys from this, but shout out to MSW Media. Take a look at our link tree. You can support us. I think we should just jump straight in. Let's get to it.
Let's go.
Guys, we got another amazing guest today. Guys, this guest is a travel enthusiast. She's a business owner and a DJ and author of Infinite Entrepreneur. Allie, welcome to Authentically Us.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here. And I can't believe I do that many things. Like, it's so random.
We're excited to have you, and we're excited to hear your story and for you to share. For those of you who don't know, and if you don't know by now, you haven't been listening to our podcast. So I work at Orange Theory, and I met Allie. Oh my goodness, what was this?
2016, right when I moved to San Diego.
Wow, that's when I first started at Orange Theory. So I met you very early then, and it's been cool because she was a member.
Yep.
And got to see her progress and see her get fit and strong and fast. So I'm excited to have you on to hear about your other side.
For sure. I know. I was just joking about wearing, before we started recording, I'm like, I haven't worn a blazer since I used to work 9 to 5. And I'm like, you've never probably seen me in normal clothes.
No.
Because we, only time we interacted was at the studio, at the gym. Yep. So.
Yep, that's right.
So funny.
So, could you share with our listeners where you spent your early years and what your childhood was like?
So, I was actually born on the East Coast in Charlotte, North Carolina. Connor's like, yeah.
We're both from Pennsylvania, that's why.
East Coast. But then when I was 5, my dad got a promotion at his job, and that pulled us over to Seattle. So we lived in the Seattle suburbs. And I have mom and dad. I'm an older brother. We lived a typical suburban life. I'm very grateful for that. I saw my parents work really hard at their careers. My dad was climbing corporate ladder and doing all that, and goal to provide for the family. My mom, same thing as well, goal to provide for the family. She had started an interior design business when we moved to Seattle. And that's grown tremendously over the years. So it was really cool to see them growing up, putting a lot of work in and effort into things that they loved doing, and then seeing the fruits of their labor as we grew up. And it's just inspiring to know that they were very motivated for me and my brother. And then so growing up in Seattle, never liked the weather. It was always cloudy, rainy. Never resonated with that. Not my thing. I live in, you guys know, we met in San Diego, so I'm still living in San Diego in California. Best decision ever. I lived here for 7 years. But yeah, Seattle, it was rainy and gloomy all the time, and it's not my favorite thing. But, you're a kid, so that's not much you can do. Outside of school, I was really into creative activities. So I started taking piano lessons when I was 8, and did that for about 10 years up until senior year of high school. And then I also did dance. So I started doing ballet at the age of 2, like a lot of little girls do. And then I kept up dance. I tried doing gymnastics, and I think my mom had a really good self-awareness about me that I'm not good at gymnastics, because there just was not. I remember being so terrified of flips and all that kind of stuff. And I think being on the ground and doing leaps and turns was a lot more, it was good for me. And so as I got older, I continued doing dance. I did dance team, competitive studio dance. And then I went to my competitive high school dance team through the school. And then when I went to college, our college dance team was really similar style to my high school dance team. So I auditioned and made that team as well for all 4 years. And that was at Gonzaga University over in Washington State. So if you follow college basketball, go Zags. You don't follow college basketball. You don't live in the Northwest. Probably have no idea what I'm talking about, but it's a university. And that was really fun because in college we got to perform at the games. And so performing in front of such a lively, exciting crowd at a big sports school was like so much fun. And so that was something that I was like, really thought I was I'm going to miss performing when I graduate because I knew that I probably would not do dance professionally. I just was going on other paths, but it was super fun. Yeah. To do all that. And so I don't know. What else do you want from my early childhood?
No, I just never knew that I never knew all these things. You were a dancer this whole time.
Yeah.
I wish I would have known.
My Myers-Briggs is an ENFJ. So I think that's like the performer. Or maybe that's my Enneagram. I'm really into personality tests. Enneagram 3 wing 2. It's like an ENFJ. It's like I love performing, I love teaching, I love like I'm comfortable in front of an audience, but I don't like need it, if that makes sense. But it's like I'm comfortable.
Now I'm curious.
And it's fun for me.
Enneagram. You said Enneagram 3 wing 2.
3 wing 2, yeah.
What are you guys? Do you know your Enneagrams or?
So
I'm a 7.
I'm a 9 wing 8.
Cool.
I don't know what my wing is, but it says Enneagram type 3 wing 2 is the enchanter.
Ooh.
Sounds
cute. I'll take it.
Yeah, they share some characteristics with 2s. They tend to be ambitious, charming, enthusiastic in their behavior. They are driven and love to achieve, which this all sounds like you now that I know you. Yep. They tend to adapt their attitude to their environment, which can make them very effective communicators. Does any of this sound like you?
A little bit. No, they have me. They wrote me like a book.
It says their basic fear for Enneagram 3 wing 2 are afraid of failing and being unworthy of love. They avoid this by setting and accomplishing goals in order to feel successful and worthy. Do you feel so seen right now?
I feel so seen. I feel vulnerable right now. It's so true.
We never done this on the podcast before. This is great.
This is awesome.
The whole Enneagram. You should ask everyone what their Enneagram is.
That's true.
And what's so funny, and this is very Enneagram 3 of me to say this, but I was almost like I took the test and it was like, if you weren't a 3, your next highest one would be a 7. I was like, oh God, I want to be a 7. They're so cool. Like 7s are like really entrepreneurial, but they like are not as like achievement focused, and they like are usually more able to like ground in the present moment and just have fun and like make things fun, do games and like enjoy life a little bit more. And for me, it's like I do enjoy life a lot, but like sometimes I get too stressed with like the achievement side of things. And I guess it's to just make sure I'm loved.
Yep. Oh, one more thing. It says, and I think this is it, enchanters tend to adjust their persona to their audience in order to feel as though they are easily liked, which may lead to playing a character rather than playing themselves.
Well, that sounds really sketchy. I don't know.
Yikes.
I feel like that makes sense in the sense of like, if someone's having a bad day, you're not going to be like, just be happy. And like, you're going to try to like communicate and be empathetic with them. But I do think that could get toxic. And I feel like there is like Enneagram articles that I've read before. It's like a toxic 3 is someone who's like manipulative and like being fake just to match other people's personalities, not in a way where it's like, oh, I want to like match the energy and have everyone be comfortable and like kind of meet someone where they're at. It's more of like a manipulative thing from what I think I've read, but I'm not an Enneagram expert. But
not yet.
I'm never ever, my goal is never to be manipulative in that way. I just want to have fun. I just like everyone. Why can't everyone get along? That's me.
So speaking of ambition, you create a business out of your love of traveling, and it's pretty successful. Talk to us about how that came about.
Thank you. Yeah, so I started my business in 2016. So it's been a minute. I love to travel. I did not grow up traveling. My family was very much like, we'll do a spring break in Arizona to see the sun for once in our lives. And then we go back to Seattle. Like, very nice. I'm super grateful for all that, like, of course. But we just didn't think to really go international. And so I had the opportunity to study abroad for 6 weeks in college in Florence, Italy. And that really opened me up to the world internationally. And I'm so grateful for that. I always say travel is the best thing you can spend your money on in most cases, if you're able to do it. And I like dumped my life savings to put that towards the tuition to go. And I'm so happy because I feel like that changed the trajectory of my life. It really opened me up to wanting to see the world, because I feel like when you travel, you get to see other perspectives, and it really helps you understand yourself, but really understand other people. And I feel like all the soft skills that you have while traveling, on top of having fun and like enjoying where you are, is just something that you just like, it's such a beautiful experience that we get to have as humans, to, if we are able to travel, to like go to these other places and really respect and experience other cultures. And so that's something that for me, when I was in college, like that was so new. It shattered everything, like popped the bubble of everything I knew after growing up in the suburbs and going to a really small school. And then I graduated, and I just knew that I wanted to have the opportunity to travel more. It's like they say, like you either like when you're young, you have time on your side. And I just knew that the older I got and the more deep into a career I got, like I was nervous about never following this passion, this deep yearning, this deep intuition that like I need to continue traveling, because for some reason I just love it. And I don't want to go through my whole life for decades and like not experience traveling. So I'll quick note, my resume is really crazy and long, but like basically, like after I graduated, I worked in DC, New York at these conferences for the summer. I moved back to Florence, Italy to work for this travel company in where we took students around to different countries. So basically, it's like to my parents' dismay, they were so unhappy with me not wanting to get a traditional 9 to 5 job or like a paid internship when I graduated, because like they're like, you're throwing away your degree. And I'm like, I just want to see the world. But I got a job. It was actually a really like good work experience, working as a travel guide and doing social media for this company out in Italy. So that was a really cool experience. I came back home. I got an 8 to 5 job working in admissions at a university over in Arizona. So I moved to Arizona because I was like, I have to see the sun. And we were familiar with that from all the spring breaks. And I thought in my head, I was like, I would love to do California, but it was so expensive. And I had like no money because I spent all my money traveling. Even though I was making money while traveling, I just like Italian shopping was just, too enticing for me. And then after like 2 years working at ASU, which was the university that I worked for, I was feeling a little burnt out and just like needed to do something different. And all I wanted was to travel. And I kept seeing all these digital nomads online, like posting on YouTube and Instagram and social media and blogs, and people that I would follow. And it was really inspiring to me. And like, wait, these people are continuously traveling. They're not just like working a job, like teaching English and then like traveling on the weekends, or some of them were. But a lot of them are just like continuing to do this, and they're funding their travel and their nomadic lifestyle by like freelancing or affiliate links or travel blogging or like brand partnerships if they have like a following. And that was just, I just realized it really opened me up to the possibility of this alternative path, which is not as alternative as it used to be back in like 2015, 2016. But back then it was super random. But I knew that like that was a path that I wanted to take. Travel was just so like central for me, and especially being early 20s, 23, 24 years old, I was like, I need to do this now because I don't want to regret not doing this later. And so I ended up getting the opportunity to move out to Southern California, San Diego. And I was just like, I just need to just try this out. And the idea of freelancing kind of came up to me because a friend tagged me in a post that was like, oh, like someone needs help with design and some marketing work. Like you do that with your blog, right? And I was like, yeah, I do that. Oh, I can do that. And then she was like, oh yeah, I'm so excited to work with a freelancer. And I was like, oh yeah, I guess that's what this is. And then I kept doing that. And so that was just like the biggest motivation to start the business, was just like the free spirited nature that I was able to have, and the opportunity to be location independent and also make my own money and not have people tell me no. Like when I worked an 8 to 5 job, super respectful, loved everyone I worked with, but there was a lot of like restrictions and like politics and like corporate structures within it, which makes sense because it's a huge organization. But it was like I just felt like I couldn't like, really make as much of an impact as I wanted to at certain times. And so then, yeah, I just started. Travel was the biggest motivation, but then I was just like, you know what? Let me see how far I can go. Can I grow this? Can I keep doing it? Not just to support myself, but can I like actually turn this into something where I'm really helping a lot of different businesses with their social media while simultaneously working on growing my travel blog, my personal brand.
That's amazing. It was crazy as I remember when you were auditioning for Orange Theory, and
Another thing that I've done that's so random on my resume.
Right. But I'm like, you wouldn't have been happy doing it now that listening to you, like, because you would have been, yes, obviously you impacting lives. I feel like that is one of our main things. But like your passion is traveling, right? And you would have been like almost like stopped from traveling if you would have like went through with it.
So it's super crazy. So a little bit of context, ConRoy was mentioning. So I went through a period, this was like 2019, like summer of 2019, fall 2019. I auditioned to become a coach with Orange Theory. So I've been a member for many years. I don't know if you know this, ConRoy. I used to be a Zumba instructor in college.
Well, makes sense now that you were a dancer.
Yeah, I loved Zumba. I loved teaching fitness. It was so much fun. I almost switched my major from like marketing and PR to exercise science because I think it's really fascinating and I love inspiring people to be healthy. And so Orange Theory was something I wasn't even planning on, but I was thinking about maybe getting back into Zumba or like something else. But my boyfriend at the time was an Orange Theory coach in Northern California. And he was like, why don't you just do Orange Theory? And I was like, why not? And so it's just like another, I don't know. And then we ended up breaking up. And then I was kind of thinking like, oh, wait, I wouldn't be able to travel as much, but I'm like, it's a sacrifice. I think it was something really fun to do. And then I still was like passionate about like helping people, but it's hard. It's not easy. And yeah, it would have changed a lot of things if that happened. And this was also like, because the process was super long. I think this was like right before COVID is when all that was like kind of ending. And I think it was just like a good blessing in disguise that it didn't happen, not because it would be like a bad thing, but just with me and my lifestyle. I don't know. I think like, it's just like weird to like look back, but it's very, to bring my personality test, ENFJ, Enneagram 3 of me to be like, yeah, like why not? Like why not try it?
Yeah, I'm just like, I don't know if you would have been fulfilled. I'm sure you would have been great. And I thought you were great anyways, but I wasn't the one picking the coaches. There was a couple people I would have picked and you would have been one of them. But I just think hearing
I remember a lot of people were like moving to San Diego. Yeah. And there was like, and they told me there was only like spots for subs available. Yeah. Which made it even more like, whoa, it's like, it was just really competitive too. Yeah. And also it was a good blessing in disguise.
Right. Because like it just springboarded you into this travel business. Or I would say you're a brand right now. Like everything you do, and we're going to get into like all facets of you, but you're a brand. Like when people hire you for DJing, for marketing, for travel, it's like you can do all the things, and it's really cool. But we had another travel nomad on our podcast earlier, and she kind of talked about her travel, and she did like a program essentially where it's like a bunch of how would you explain it, Tony? A bunch of like work from home people joined this program and they traveled together, but they were still working at their individual jobs. I forget. Do you remember what it was called, Tony?
Probably.
I do not.
What did you say, Ali?
It might be Remote Year.
Yes, that's what it was.
Yeah, there's a few different companies, but that was I think the original one that did that. That's
Yeah.
so cool.
Yeah, so she did that, and we just kind of talked about her different travels. I wanted to ask you because you've been over 45 countries,
Yeah.
6 continents, which is like crazy.
Wild.
Can you tell us your favorite experience or destination that has had a significant impact on your perspective of life?
Okay, wow. So this is so wild to think about because it's kind of like the question. It's like, what's your favorite country? And it's so hard to choose just one for someone who's been to like all my friends are like obsessed with travel, even if they've only been to like a small handful of places. They're like, why do you just choose? Because every country is so different. But I think like in general, we kind of touched on this earlier. It's like travel. It just really helps you understand other cultures. It really like helps you understand yourself and other people. And I think that's one of the best things that you can do is to like can be able to communicate with people in different ways. And it's just in like respect other cultures is just really amazing. I think if I had to kind of quickly pinpoint one or maybe a couple quick ones, I mean, I think Florence, Italy, when I studied abroad, which so many Americans go there. But for me, it was like
It's the
that was my
first.
first time overseas.
Yeah.
Like I said, that popped the bubble for me in terms of just like what I knew about the world, what my life was just very contained and not like in a way I'm complaining about it, but it's just like that's just how it was. I was young, grew up in the suburbs, went to small school, so like that was a huge change for me. Um, and then I think in other ways, if I'm trying to think, it's hard because it's like there's so many cool experiences, and I could go so many different ways with this question.
What's the first
Like
one that comes to mind? Like after Florence, it's like when you think of like, oh wow, I really missed that time. Like, what's the first thing that comes to mind?
that comes to mind. Well, I think last year when I was traveling nomadically, which I did a 6 month fully nomadic stint, which I had never done before. I've always been like a digital nomad, but based in San Diego. So I travel for 3 weeks and come home, or travel for like 1 week and come home. And then last year, I dealt with some burnout with my business. I talk about it in my book. I put my stuff in storage, traveled for 6 months straight, went to Bali, Europe, back to Bali, back to Europe, Bali, Mexico. Like it was a big trip. But I think the biggest thing I remember was in Montenegro, which is in Eastern Europe. It's on the Balkan coast. So I spent a month going from Greece up the coast all the way to Croatia and all those countries in between. And so when I was in Montenegro, I remember my mom was texting me because it was almost my niece's birthday, and I was planning to like pop back to California for my niece's birthday. But she was like, "When are you coming home?" And I was like, "Oh, I'm gonna, for the birthday party, I'll be back for that." And she's, "No, when are you actually coming home? Like, when are you moving home?" And I was like, "It's not clear yet. Like, when it's clear, I will know. But right now, it's not clear. Like, I'm following my intuition on this. And I just needed like major like rest. I like pulled back my business a bit. So I was still working with clients. I was still running my business I was almost finished with my book at that point. I was like, my purpose was to like rest, finish my book, just see, like allow my intuition to like fully lead me, be fully free with location, with not being stressed about like paying for rent at the next expensive cost of living, San Diego. I was like, and I will never forget that moment sitting in Montenegro being like, it's not clear yet, but when it's clear, I will let you know. And then I think maybe like a week later, it was like, oh, I'm ready to go back to California. But I need to go back to Bali first because I need to take DJ lessons in Bali. And I did. And I'm so happy I did that. So,
Wow. That's so amazing. Tony and I talked about like certain moments because I feel like it's not clear yet seemed like a very big moment for you to say to your mom. Because Tony and I talked about certain moments we've had with our parents where we're like, you know what? Like when we put our feet down and we're like, no, this is actually how I feel. And there's rare. I could probably count on my hand how many times I've done it. And it almost sounds like that was like I don't know. What would you say, Tony? Like a pivotal moment. Like
Right.
mhm.
Like a moment you realize, oh, I can stand up for myself. I
yeah,
can advocate for what I want to my parents.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, that was especially like earlier on when I was moving to Italy to work with that job. And then when I quit my job to start my business, and it was just like so not a thing back then. It was really rare to have an online business, especially because this was pre-COVID. Nobody was really working remotely. Like some people did, but it really wasn't much of a thing. And so like for me to not just be working remotely, but be working for myself and have no idea what the hell I was doing, and just like trusting that, and then having my parents, my just like friends, coworkers at the time, like everyone was like, "You're crazy. You're gonna regret this," or like, "Why aren't you doing this?" I would never. People always say, "I would never do that. I would never do that. It's so risky. I can't believe you're doing that because I would never do that." I'm like, "Well, we're different people. This is my thing. If I fail, then I fail, and then I learn something from it, and then I can go back to get a job." But I didn't. I just kept doing it. Yeah, it was just long journey.
We love it.
So like this this life can easily seem like so amazing, so fun, like you get to travel so much. I I wonder like w- you know, did you feel like, man, I'm not planning routes anywhere, so I'm like, where are my people at? Like, how can I feel grounded while I'm out exploring?
So that's a really good question. It's something that a lot of people ask about before they travel or become a digital nomad, or they ask me about, like, well, how do I feel about that? I think it's a very valid question because we're humans, we're social beings. I'm an extrovert, so I'd love to be around people. That's how I charge my batteries. Like right now, I'm like, we're having a conversation. I'm like, yay, my battery's full. But when so I think one of the best things that I did, and it was also a little bit challenging too, was like moving to San Diego while I started my business. And I like cold turkey quit my job. I would recommend people do it on the side first, build up their experience. But for me, that's just how I did it, and that's just what I needed to do. But that made it a little more challenging financially because I had to figure out, like maybe dip into my savings if I needed to get my business running. But it also allowed me to have that community that I could travel for a few weeks, come back, and have my community in San Diego. When I was traveling, if I wasn't traveling with friends, I would do solo travel. And there's a lot of like content out there in solo travel. But basically, it's like I feel just as social traveling solo usually than when I do with friends because it forces you to meet people, to put yourself out in situations and do activities where you make friends. And sometimes I would just be like, okay, I'm gonna have a chill night when I was solo travel. I'm like, oh no, I met these really cool people and they invited me to go out. I'm like, and we're doing it. So it's like sometimes solo travel is like way too social for me. So traveling, there are like those benefits to having that home base and then traveling whether you're solo or not. But I do think when I was doing that 6-month travel period last year, that actually came with some more challenging moments, the community feeling than I expected. Because for me, when I've done solo travel, I've like met people, maybe we go our separate ways in like 5, 6, 7 days. And it's just like, and then I go home to like my main group of friends who we have like deep relationships with. And it's my travel friends, it's fun, but it's like you don't have the time really to like really deepen those relationships. Sometimes you do, sometimes you don't. And so it's like more of like a surface level new conversation. Where are you going? Where are you traveling next? What are you up to? And so when I was doing that 6-month travel period, I kept going back to Bali. That was like my like home base for the time because I was considering maybe buying a villa there. And then I was like, that's too expensive. It was very like confusing for me. So I decided not to do that. But when I felt like that community was like really transient. Like I'd make friends and then they would leave, or like I would make friends and I would leave. I was part of the problem, and so I didn't have that feeling. And then when I was traveling over in Eastern Europe, I wasn't meeting a ton of other travelers, and so when I would, it'd be like nice, but it would be like that. Hi, what's your name? Where are you going? Like, want to hang out? Want to be my friend? Like, yeah, me too. Like, and so I felt like I really did miss that community. And that was one of the biggest reasons why I feel like I wanted to come back to San Diego and get an apartment again back here. And have that solid community, because I really do cherish my friendships here, and having those deep relationships. And so it is nice to have a home base and travel. But I do know some nomads that will consistently travel for years and they're super happy. They just travel a little bit slower so that they're able to make deeper friendships, or do something like remote year where you're consistently with the same group. So there's a lot of ways to do it, but yeah. Did I answer your question? I feel like I might have tangented a
Yes.
bit.
No, that was good. Thank you.
Okay,
Well,
cool.
for our other friend that we had, her name was Kiani. She mentioned how she traveled kind of all over, like you mentioned with remote year.
Mhm.
Now, you said you've done group travel and solo travel. For anybody who is looking to do this, and you're a woman, and I was wondering, was there any time that you felt unsafe?
While traveling,
Yeah.
um, I have felt very safe while traveling, and I hate to say this, and this is kind of a common thing, but people say like some of the most dangerous things can happen in your own backyard. Like there were some pretty sketchy moments that happened off campus in college, things I experienced in college that were really sketchy. And I'm fine. I was fine then. But like borderline, or things that happened to friends that were like super sketchy.
Mm-hmm.
And that was just because like the town around my university, I don't know what it's like now, but back then it was really, really sketchy. And there's been some stuff that's happened in California, Southern California, where it's like not always 100%, but it's like at the same time, this is where I spend majority of my time.
Mm-hmm.
But when I'm traveling, I always make it a point to take precautions, the same precautions at home as I do somewhere when I'm traveling. I don't go out alone at night. I look up where the safe neighborhoods are. I do like all that. Like I don't like go out to a bar by myself and take a bunch of tequila shots for no reason and put myself in situations. So I really try to be cautious with that. But when I'm traveling, honestly, I can't even like pinpoint a time where it's like, oh, that night was really sketchy, or I have a story about this one time that was like really scary. It was like, I'm really grateful for that. And what's crazy is that a lot of other females that travel or have traveled solo would say the exact same thing that I just said.
That's good. Good to know. For those who are listening.
What?
For those who are listening, now you know it is possible.
It is possible. Do your research on a destination before you go. Look up safety tips. Tell friends. Send your itinerary to your friends and your family. I always have like a shared note on my iPhone with my entire like hotel addresses, hotel phone number, my dates I'm traveling, my flight numbers, everything. I share it with both my mom and my dad. Doesn't matter how old I am. They get it. I send it to my friends too, just in case. But yeah, I mean, I wish I had a better story, but I also like I'm glad that I don't.
No, yeah, it's good.
Right.
So yeah.
So earlier you mentioned a lot about like making friends as you're traveling. I'm curious, what do you mean by friends?
I'm sorry, when I'm
Like
traveling and I'm
like
making
cuz
new
I
friends.
feel like friendship has been so like um used. So like what do you think of when you think of friendship?
When I think of friendship, I think of someone that you connect with. You don't have to have like I have so many friends that are so different from me. It's like you don't have to have every single thing in common. But I think if you have a connection and you enjoy spending time together, you enjoy having conversations, you want to do similar things, then I think that is like what I would call like a friend. So like if I'm traveling, I might make a friend and we might both be leaving the next day and going to different countries, but it's like, oh, I really wanted to go check out this cool cathedral and the piazza and then go down to the beach. Oh my God, I was going to do the same thing. And it's like, do you want to do it together? Sure. And so it's like, if you like have that connection, then it's like, that's kind of like traveling. I feel like how I've made friends and then they're like, oh, I made this other friend on the boat cruise I took earlier today. Like, let's go meet up and I'll get dinner. And I'm like, this is great. So then we like have those conversations. And I think for me, it's like in a lot of the travel community, we're used to meeting other people from other countries, other cultures. And it's like we're used to like having those conversations and being open-minded, that you don't have to be exactly like somebody else. And I think that's what makes it easier. And then at home, I think like friends, just people that kind of the same thing. Like you might not be the exact same, but you share interests or values, or you can have a good conversation, or you like to do certain things together. And then of course, over time, the more time you spend and the more time you communicate, you can deepen those friendships, deepen those bonds, get to know each other on like a deeper level. And that creates like a stronger bond. Um, but yeah, I think people are really important in this life.
Oh yeah. So I want to talk about your book. What brought you to write Infinite Entrepreneur?
So I started writing Infinite Entrepreneur in 2020. Like a lot of people during COVID lockdown, they're like, "What do I do?" And people were baking bread and doing all these other things. And I was like, honestly, my business was growing so much, and I think it's because a lot of my travel stuff was getting canceled, and so everyone needed social media. So like, my business was like rapidly growing, which I like. It was a good problem to have, but I also had to like hire quickly too. Like I kept saying yes to all my clients. But I also did like during that time and during that like craziness, I had the ideas like this would be a really good time because I had a few ideas for books or like stories that I had written on my phone of like written in memoir format from when I was traveling. So like, say I was like on the plane leaving a location, I would like type out like, and I was like, why am I writing like my travel journal notes as if I'm writing like a book? And then I was like, I feel like I could like write a book. And then it wasn't really clear like how it was going to come together. But especially during COVID and 2020 lockdown, when all the craziness was happening, a lot of people were asking me questions about like how do I work online? I want to, or like they would work remotely, they would get a taste of that, but they realized I still want to have that freedom of my location, freedom of finances, freedom of my time, my schedule, and just my life. And like, and they would see like me doing that with my social media clients. And so I realized I'm like, I can actually put this together, create a step by step plan to help people start an online business using skills that they already have or that they can learn for free online as a freelancer. And so like, and basically the goal of that book is to help people not just start an online business, but to do something that's service based so that they're able to be location independent, not have to worry about physical inventory or products or anything, and be able to do it with the idea in mind that they most likely, if they're interested in the book, because there's a lot of travel stories in there, to become a digital nomad, whether they want to be at home most of the time and take some trips whenever they want, or they want to continuously travel. So it was really cool because I started sharing some of those stories on my Instagram because I was like, I just dying to travel. I don't know what to post. And so I'd post like a throwback and I would have like the travel story written in memoir format. And I was getting really good feedback on those. And it just felt really good to like write those. And so then when I decided to put that all together, every chapter starts out with a memoir style story, and then it goes into like the strategic business steps. And so I thought that format was never been done that I've ever seen in a business book before. And I thought it was a really cool way to do a business book for someone that's like interested in travel, because it's like for me, when I was starting my business, I was motivated by all the travel people posting content about travel, but then I knew I needed to get the strategic, boring, quote, boring business steps to grow my business. So I was like, how can I combine like the fun and the inspiring and that like that create like invoke the essence of what it feels like to be traveling and the funny moments, the crazy hard moments, the like that euphoric feeling that you get sometimes, and like combine that with like the strategic stuff to keep people's attention so they actually finish the book.
This is awesome. Free game, guys. You guys are getting free game. Go get the
Right.
book.
Thanks.
Where can people get the book, by the way?
So if they go to www.infiniteentrepreneur.co, that has a list of links if you want to do Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Books A Million, and there's international Amazons as well. And there's like some Canadian and Australian like a Booktopia if you have any Australian followers or New Zealand followers. So there's a bunch of links. So whatever platform you want, if you want ebook or if you want paperback. I was playing with the idea of doing hardcover. I'm not sure. Let me know if anyone wants that. And I was also playing with the idea of doing audiobook because I had requests for that. And I'm like,
Should do an
it's
audiobook. You have a
Yes,
great voice.
absolutely.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. It's so time consuming.
It is. It is.
I think it's like at least 8 to 10 hours. I like Googled how long it would be because I think my book is 250 pages. Oh my God.
Tony and I
I
were
know
listening
me,
to
I'm
it.
gonna mess up. My perfectionist qualities are gonna kick in and I'm gonna have to redo that whole chapter. Like, it's a big undertaking.
You should do it. I think it would be very successful because what I've learned about audiobooks is that it when I listen to it, especially when the author writes it, is that you can capture their enthusiasm about whatever they're talking about. Like
Right.
right now, how you're talking about your travel, and then
Yeah.
also the business. It's like you're passionate about both, but sometimes in my mind, I wouldn't be able to picture that. But like hearing you do it, I'm like, oh, she's actually excited about this.
Right.
So
Yeah.
something
Thank you.
to think about.
Well, this is a new potential project that I might.
Yeah.
I know
I like
your
started.
million tasks.
I know so many things. You know me. I just do. I'm like, oh, I want to try something. Let me do it. I'm like, I'll do it, and I'm like, okay. Now I'm like, oh yeah, sure. Why not?
Well, speaking of that, I did want to touch on. So you mentioned two things. You have a podcast,
Yes.
and is it a travel podcast?
Yes, it's called the Limitless Nomads Podcast, and it's very in tune with the book. So if you like the idea of the book or you like the idea of the podcast, you probably like either one. I started the podcast to be very in tune with helping people decide like, if they wanted to become a digital nomad, like what that was like, what a typical day of my life is like while traveling. Because when I'm traveling, I'm still working. Like it's not all fun and games. Like I'm still doing work for some of the times that I'm traveling. And so just kind of giving people like an inside look into what that's like and also like some strategy and some mindset tips like on those earlier episodes. And then I started doing some more episodes on like more mindset, not mindset, I guess some mindset, and then also some lifestyle related to traveling and, you know, like my trip to India. Like I went to India this year. I work in social media, so my campaigns, I'm already thinking about 2024. So it's like I'm like the calendar for me. I'm like, what day, what time is it? Yeah, I went to India earlier this year, so I did an episode on that. So I've been very sporadic with it. Like it's interesting because after I went through kind of a lot of burnout in 2021, early 2022, with just for so many reasons. And after I did that big trip and I came back, I've been joking about how I'm less goal oriented. And so like
You're turning into a 7.
I'm turning into guys, maybe I'll be a 7. I should retake the Enneagram quiz. If I die a 7, I think I'll be happy. No, it's okay. No, I'm happy with being a 3. It's me. But yeah, I've been trying to like put less pressure on myself to do things like I talked a lot about intuition. Like, what is really pulling me? Is it just like to like be consistent with everything because I have to? It's like, do I really have to? No.
Yeah.
So, why am I talking about that? Oh yeah, the podcast. Oh yeah, I'm sorry. I've been sporadic with the podcast.
But it's awesome because I think what I'm hearing is essentially what our podcast is about being authentically who you are. And what I'm hearing through your travel, through your projects, through your interest is you are truly figuring out who you authentically are, and that like, hey, I'm really passionate about a podcast right now, and then I'm not. So I'll post when I want. And then there's no deadline that you have to meet. And it's really cool to kind of see the freedom that you are experience from the achiever mindset. I also wanted to touch on your other thing that you've been doing that I mentioned in your bio is you're a DJ, and you just slightly dropped it in that you want to Bali to learn how to
no
DJ.
Big deal.
Yeah, that was just a little slight like drop, and I don't want to skip over that because I also DJ. I DJ weddings though, so I'm not like I DJ
idea.
Weddings. You can book me, Level Up Entertainment. Anybody who wants to book me for a wedding. So tell me about your experience of like learning how to DJ in Bali, like the party capital of the world?
Okay, so I just, like I said, my intuition, we keep coming back to this. I love electronic music, love house music, have for a long time, probably since college is when I really started listening to it. And I just had this like feeling. I was like, I think I want to maybe like do music production. I saw a random video on Instagram of someone showing their Ableton, which is a software that you use, or one of the softwares you can use to create music. And then I was like, I think that looks really cool. Kind of looks like video editing meets, like audio stuff. I've done a lot of stuff like that. It's actually way harder than it sounds or than it looks.
I know.
I would know because I'm trying to learn it right now. And then I was trying to like go on YouTube and stuff, kind of dabble in that. And then I was like, you know what? I feel like I really should learn how to DJ because I want to do electronic music. If I ever create my own music, obviously I don't sing. I just shouldn't say obviously, but like you don't want to hear me sing unless I warp it. But like I'm not gonna like if I'm gonna create music, it's gonna be like electronic music. I was like, oh, I need to learn how to DJ so that if I ever make a song, I'd want to play it for people. I need to learn how to do that. And then I realized, well, that's really challenging too. And then I was kind of thinking about it. It was more on the back burner. I was so consumed and busy with like my business and like I was doing this whole healing stuff that I was working on that was like really intense. And then my friend, we were in Vegas. We went to go to the clubs to go see some DJs play. And she was like, "You should do that, Allie," because like I was really like very like with the Spotify playlist, it had to be in a certain order. And it had to have like the tempo. We needed to be slow. We can't put a tempo like this or the vibe like this and go from this song to this song. Like if anyone adds to the playlist, like let me know so I can put the song in the right place. And obviously DJing is way more than like playlist. We all know that. Like if you ever see a DJ with a DJ controller, there's all those buttons and knobs and all the things. It's like they're not just pressing play on Spotify. They're actually doing a lot of work. Connor is nodding his head. Yeah, it's a lot of work. Yeah, it's so cool though. And I just could not shake the idea after my friend was like told me that. I was like, okay, I got to do it. And then it took me like a long time kind of figure it out. And I just like it was so strong, especially when I like pulled a lot of my business pieces back to just like focus on the bare minimum and stay in Bali. And then I was like, I need to do this. Like, I'm gonna go crazy if I don't like take lessons or something because I knew it was like I can't just watch a YouTube video and go up there. Like, I need to actually learn. And so then there's it's called Genesis Creative Center in Canggu, Bali. I found it through Google. Shout out to George, the owner. And I signed up for lessons, or I tried to sign up for lessons, and I was actually about to leave. I was like, "Can you get me in? I'm going to go to Europe for a month." He was like, "Oh, we actually like it's a week-long process, intensive 2 hours per day for like this many days." And he was like, "We do it here in person in Bali." And I was like, "Yeah, it makes sense." And then I was like, "Okay, I'm going to come back to Bali." So I went to Europe, and then I was like, I need to go back to Bali before I go home to California. So I took lessons, and I had so much imposter syndrome. I like was running a little late because I was a little jet lagged when I got back to Bali. And I threw on this sundress. It's like pink sundress, and I just took a Grab scooter, which is like the Uber of Bali. You just go on the back of a scooter. Went through traffic to go to this place, and I go, oh my God, I'm probably like the only girl that's ever done this, and I'm like in this pink dress, and then the guy walks up and he's like, I'm gonna name you DJ Sundress. And I was like, oh my God, I'm so embarrassed. But I was like, I was so overwhelmed with looking at the controller. It's so funny because now I'm like, I feel so at home. Yeah. But I'm so happy I did that because I learned so much. I'm really glad that I took lessons because I was able to actually like learn it from a professional he was a techno DJ, but he was very good at what he does. He knows exactly how to do it. He taught me how to play on a USB instead of just a laptop. So I learned how to do USB DJing and like mixing and transitioning and all the basics that I don't think I could have learned from like a YouTube course or something. So super grateful for that. And then like maybe a month later, I was in Mexico and I just did a little fake it till you make it thing where I was at a house music bar and then I was like, oh, I see DJ booth. You guys have DJs? Yeah, we do. Oh, I DJ. Oh, really? Like what kind of music? Oh, like house, EDM. Oh, sweet. Like we actually need someone on Thursday.
What?
Okay. Yeah, I think I can do it.
So you just hopped in.
Yeah, like he's like, let me just clear it. I think it's fine. We have like the main guy coming later, but if you want to like open, we could use somebody. I think he
Wow.
could probably tell that I was like new, but I was like trying to make it like I
Like
did
you
this
knew
all
what
the
you were
time.
doing. Yeah.
Yeah, and I've been practicing because my friend, we flip flopped. I have a friend that's a DJ, and she went to Bali and she put her stuff in storage. Literally, this is such a similar situation. And so I asked her if I'm like, hey, would I be able to borrow your equipment when you're traveling? And she graciously said yes.
Oh wow.
And I was so grateful for that because that equipment's expensive. You know, it's like thousands of dollars to get like a 2-deck mixer. Don't even get me started with CDJs. Because I'm like, I should buy some. I'm like, maybe I'll wait. But that was really helpful. I was practicing a lot before I went to Mexico because I went home between Bali and Mexico. Um, and so I like felt like I was so nervous. I was confident, but then like the second I got up there, I told my friend, "Can you give me a tequila shot?"
Liquid
They had
courage.
offered me one, and I walked in like, "Oh, I'm fine." And then I like get up there and I go, "I need that tequila shot."
Oh my goodness. This is, first of all, I'm just so flabbergasted. Now I need to like link with you and get some like lessons.
Why would you need lessons? You're DJing.
Yeah, but like wedding DJing is also different than like house DJ. And I don't do USB, which I should do.
Well,
So
if the
what
Wi-Fi
I
works like
hear is
hell,
y'all are about to throw a bomb party
we
in
would
San
throw
Diego.
should. We
we
absolutely
should.
should.
It'd be very vibes only. That's what I go for.
For sure.
Man,
Yeah, I mean, I feel like being a wedding DJ sounds so challenging to me because I would
it
get
is.
stressed out not having the extended versions and also playing music that's like slow because you have to cater to the bride and groom,
You have to
obviously.
cater to bride and groom first. That's first. And then you have
Yeah.
to do generations. You have to mix generational music
Yep.
with like with current music, slow songs, fast songs, and sometimes most of the time they don't matter. So like I can do a fire mix like from one song to the next and nobody cares except for like the other DJ who's in there
Yeah.
or like
Me
people
being
who
like,
yeah, right. It's like I heard that blend, but everybody else is still having their conversation. So I'm like, most of the time they just want to hear the song. It's all about timing of when you play the song in a wedding.
yeah,
So question for both of you.
yeah.
What has been the biggest like DJ fail that you've experienced from other DJs?
Oh, from other DJs.
No, I feel like it's not as easy as it seems. Like once you get it, you get it. At least like for me, I was like, once I got it, but I still had to practice and like hear how do songs mix. Because I do all my stuff is mixed and transitioned. I don't know. I feel like there was one bar I went to. This is before I started DJing. This is another. I had a different friend that said you should be a DJ. And so when all these friends kept saying you should be a DJ, I'm like, it's so random. Why would I do that? I'm like, but I love it. But I was at a bar once where the guy was like doing songs that didn't sound. It was like slow tempo, high tempo, rap, pop. It was like, you know, like it's cool because it's like songs that everybody likes for the most
Yeah.
part, but
Yeah.
it just sounded super choppy.
Yeah.
And like how he mixed it, or like it was just, you know, you play like part of a song, play the chorus, and immediately go to the next song versus like letting it play out. And sometimes that's strategic. You do want to do that because you don't want a song to be too long. I don't know. I sound judgmental. I just remember it being
No,
like,
I 100% understand what you're saying because it's like, but like only we're gonna say stuff like that, right? Because like every wedding I go to now, I'm just judging the DJ the whole time, and I'm like, I hate this because I can't not unhear it. But I would say similar to that, and this was before I became a DJ as well. It was like when there's one song playing and they're trying to bring in the next song, but there's way too much overlap. So then there's like a time period where it's like this and it sounds horrible because it's not blended right. And I'm like, I can't unhear what's happening right now. That's like,
would
the
you
main
say
DJ.
it's not beat matched or just the songs didn't?
Yeah, it definitely wasn't beat matched. It wasn't beat matched, and then also it wasn't like it was like, almost like it was too early
Mm.
It was like there's like a prominent part of this song and a prominent part of this song, and you're like clashing it too early,
Yeah.
as opposed to like letting it flow into the next. So yeah, this is all DJ
It's
talk.
hard because it's like you have empathy for people. Like I've done stuff, it hasn't been perfect. Nothing's
Oh
gonna
yeah,
be
I for
fine.
sure
This.
I for sure hit what did I do one time? Oh, I hit like the siren at like the most random time on accident. Cause this is when I was still like I was borrowing my friend's board and I was like, oh, okay. And then I hit the siren
Is
and
it
I was like, oh,
that one?
that's the kissing sound. Brr, 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 brr. And then that was the kissing sound for the night.
Oh no!
That's what so I was like, okay, like you guys gotta kiss. Brr, brr, brr.
So romantic. Let's
with with
go,
with
club.
weddings and as a DJ, you can fake a lot of things as long as you
Right,
say it on the
right.
mic. If I have a mic, I can make anything work.
So you know what's so funny is that I don't have like the board. I don't do the siren sounds, and I never used a mic DJing because at this point, so I mentioned like the first time I played was like over a year ago in Mexico at that bar. But I actually started playing events and parties, and then I played in 6 countries now DJing, which is wild. Because when I've traveled, I've like met people or tried to network with the bar and say like, do you need an opener? Do you need B2B? I've gotten really lucky with that, I would say. But I put myself in situations to make the luck happen, I will say. Take away from that. But I've been playing at like clubs, bars. That's my favorite. I played at Bloom in San Diego a few weeks ago. So much fun. Because it's like I got to play what I wanted to play. I didn't have requests for Bad Bunny after already playing Bad Bunny. Don't love Bad Bunny. But if you play 3 songs by Bad Bunny, that's good.
Yeah.
Go to a concert. Sorry. But I've never used a mic. Actually, the Bad Bunny experience was when I played at a birthday party, and it was so fun. They were really cool, really nice. It was like at this bar, and I had never used a mic before. And thank God the friend that I was DJing with had like a mic set up with this thing. Because even if like I don't know, I didn't know, I've never used it. But then it was like I think that'd be even harder to have to be like an MC because we just they were like, oh, can you like be them? Like, no, pass the ear.
Yeah,
do it.
it is because it's like 2 different skills. I think you could
Yeah.
do it though because you can control the crowd a little bit more,
Yeah.
and you can also like at least at weddings I can fake transition sometimes with. All right, guys, we're gonna do this next song. Well, I'm like it could be
Smart.
like if we're like at like 2000s like
R&B.
Pitbull, and I need to go to this slow song because the bride just asked for it. Like, there's no transition that's going to get me there besides my mic.
That's a good point. Yeah.
So,
Because that's where I respect for wedding DJs. Because like that would be so hard to make it sound good. If you in the mic thing, I'm gonna listen for that next time I go to a wedding.
yeah. Now you won't be able to unhear some of these things when you go to the wedding. You're not going to be able to enjoy it because you're just be listening to the DJ the whole time, unless he's good, or she,
Or she. Yeah. Yeah. No, it's definitely fun. I'm loving DJing. It's so random. And I was like, is this gonna be like I do so many things. Let me just try it and see what goes. But I just feel so connected to it. At least for now, as long as I'm having fun, I'm gonna keep doing it. And I'm learning music production right now. I've been working on a song with a friend that's a producer as well. And that's been really cool to see like how they click around and do all the different things because I'm like learning a lot from that. And it's so different from every single thing I've done before, but it's just so much fun to do that I'm just like, why the hell not? Like, why not? So,
yeah.
Hopefully, you'll see me playing more.
I need to come see you in person now.
I'm playing on Dia de Muertos downtown.
Like
I love it. If you like house music,
look, I'm just gonna be the biggest. You know how like you have those this is another thing that happens, Tony, when you're DJing. I don't know if it happens like in clubs and stuff, but at weddings, people they're like DJ fans. Well, they'll just stay at the booth, and they'll be like, the weird thing that happens at weddings is they'll dance in front of me while making eye contact with me, and now I'm just like, You got it. It's like
Mhm.
sometimes it's very awkward.
I feel like weddings because you have a very eclectic group of people. You have like the cousins, you have the grandparents, you have like the friends, you have like the drunk, friend
Uncles, yeah.
get plus one and so, but yeah, I've never experienced that. I feel like most of the places I've played have been like similar types of crowds, but I played at clubs before. Like when I was traveling, I would do B2B. So I'd be with the other DJ, like the resident DJ would like invite me to come up for like an hour with them, which is super fucking cool. Thank you to shout out to all the DJs I've done that with. Really grateful for that opportunity. And like people are up there dancing, they're filming you on their phones and stuff. But then when I was playing at Bloom, I had a slot. I mean, it was just me, no B2B, just like I have like a whole hour. And that was so much fun. It was so much fun, but like it was people watching you the whole time. So I was like, I have to perform. Like when I was playing with the other DJs, we were both kind of dancing, kind of playing off of each other and like doing our thing and stuff like that. But I'm like, everyone's watching me the whole time. Everyone's phone is filming me. People I don't even know. People are doing the thing where they have like, they have like the phone, the messages and stuff, which is so fun. One guy was like, "Where's the fog?" Which means like the air that comes out. Like they didn't have it on that day, and I was like, "I wish I had it."
Yeah. That's why people wear masks.
Like,
that's why some DJ wear masks.
Wearing masks?
Yeah, that's why some DJs like have like other person like Marshmello.
Oh yeah.
And they're just like
Dead Mouse, yeah. I love it though. I mean, like I said, I'm comfortable in front of an audience. I have fun with it.
And you can dance, so that like helps even more.
Yeah. I was really grateful. I went to Ibiza right before I got back, which is a really good place because I got a lot of inspiration with music from there. And I got to B2B with a guy with a DJ. So I got to DJ in Ibiza at this pool thing, which was really cool. But we also went out to the main clubs, Ushuaia and High Ibiza. And I remember there was this girl that was like dancing. She had her arms like, I don't know if there's enough space in the camera, like bam, bam, bam. And I was like, that's awesome. And then I was like up at Bloom when I was playing live and thinking like, I can't just like jump. I can't just like bump my head. I'm like, people are like expecting, or I don't know if they're expecting anything, but they're watching me. I was like, split second, that one girl went like with both hands. And so I have a video of me, it's on my Instagram, of me like doing that. And I was like, I guess that's my thing now, or at least for now. I guess I'll be dancing like that. Thank you. I don't remember her name, but she was a DJ in Ibiza. She rocked it.
Oh, we love it.
Inspired me.
Another subtle drop. You see these?
Yeah.
What drop?
We almost need like another episode just to talk about like your little subtleties. Yeah, I DJ'd in Ibiza. What?
Right. Like, no big deal.
Yeah, that was
she
actually.
Does do this for a job. So
I know.
It's yeah. I mean, I was going there anyways, and that's actually all the places I've played at internationally, like El Salvador, Ibiza. Where else did I play? Italy, India, Mexico, United States. Those are my 6 because home country. Those were all like chances where I was already there, so it's like I might as well try to see. And it was pretty cool how it worked out all of those different ways. But yeah, it's so funny because it's like I feel like for me it's so normal that my lifestyle is like this, but I also have to remember like I don't live the average lifestyle. Like I intentionally set up my life to be like this, and I do have to do a lot of work with my marketing business, all the other things I do, like writing the book. Someone asked me, "Oh, do you have ChatGPT write your book?" And I was like, "No." It would have made it so corny and terrible if I used ChatGPT. Maybe in the future it could write good books, but like, no, I spent 2.5 years writing and publishing that book and doing all the editing and hiring all the people I needed to hire and stuff like that. Why am I ranting about that? Sorry. But yeah, it's like, I think it's like I put myself in situations that where I can maybe like make things happen. It's like, well, do I want to play in Ibiza? That'd be really cool. Who should I reach out to? How can I go places where I might be able to make this happen? Same thing with my business. It was like, I want to travel. I want to make this happen. How can I do this? Let me just try it. And I feel like all the things I want to do are really unconventional. And it was hard to like go off the beaten path in the sense where it's like people are saying I would never do that. Well, it's like, well, I mean, I want to do it. I want to try doing what I want to do. And that has led me to get all these really unique experiences that I don't take for granted, but I also sometimes forget that it's so different and random compared to so many people.
Love
So,
it.
to anyone that's listening that wants to do something unique or wants to do something different, if your intuition's pulling you, it's like, hey, like, you really want to try something for you, not for the external validation, not for the external achievement and the titles and the BS. Like, just try it. Figure out the how. There's so much information on the internet. A lot of it's free. You can do it.
So, Allie, what does it mean for you to be authentically you?
For me to be authentically me, it is to just continue pursuing what I want to do, even if it scares me, even if it seems like it's a big undertaking and overwhelming and I'm not sure if it's going to happen or how I'm going to do it. And also even if other people like would not take that path, because I think that's how I've lived my life so far. My life now is so completely different than anything I ever would have expected back in college or earlier. Like if you asked me back in college that this would be my job, like my business of doing social media, when literally like I remember when like Facebook pages were a new thing, like social media was new when I was in school, which makes me sound old. But I'm in my heart, I'm like still 23, so screw calendars. But but like I feel like it, people say like, you know, have a 5-year plan, have a 10-year plan, like what's your plan? And it's I think it's nice to have like markers and something to work towards, but it's like be open to the surprises and the blessings that might come. Follow what you want to do and be authentically you, like follow your authenticity. That's what I try to do because it's like for me, I never would have anticipated anything that I've done. I never would have guessed I would have done. I never would have guessed 2 years ago that I'd be DJing right now. Maybe like 2.5 years ago. No, yeah, 2 years. Yeah, what year is it? 2023. Why am I like so? Yeah, screw calendars. No, but yeah, there's a lot of things I like I've created in my life now that I wouldn't have really had the conception of like years ago. And it's just like following that. And so that's what I try to do. And it's like for me, it's like as long as I continue being myself and following what lights me up and following that what I feel is authentic to me, that's going to keep leading me onto these really amazing experiences in ways where I can help other people and I can also like live my fullest life. And I think anyone else that does that will like it'll be the same.
What a great close. Allie, this has been amazing. But we do have one more segment, which is called Rapid Fire. This is when we ask you 3 questions that you're going to say first thing that comes to mind. Don't call any of your friends in other countries. It's the first thing that comes to mind.
Oh god, this stresses me out. Also, burp, 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 burp. I think, oh, the kissing sound. Okay,
Yeah,
go.
that was a one and done. Okay, if you could teleport to any place in the world right now, where would you go and why?
I'm sorry, I cut out. Everything froze for a second.
If you could teleport to any place in the world, where would you go and why?
I would go to St. Bart's in the Caribbean because I was not expecting to go there this year. My friend was traveling to St. Martin, and I decided on the way back from Italy, why not? I mean, from India, why not stop in the Caribbean? And she's like, I'm gonna do a day trip. I have a friend that grew up here, and so we went, and it was amazing. It was so beautiful. Um, it's pricey, so that's something to consider if people want to visit St. Bart's. The budget thing. We just did a day trip, which made it really nice. But the beaches were so beautiful. It is like it was a place that there's a few places around the world where you just like click. You just like have that energy where you're like, and for me, every time I went to California before I moved here, like I clicked with California and I did not click with Seattle. As nice as Seattle is, it just wasn't for me. And so for me, like St. Bart's, for some reason, I just like felt like I clicked. Like I loved it. It was just so nice. Who doesn't love the beach?
Love it.
Yeah.
When was the last time you cried?
Ooh, I was not expecting this one. The last time I cried was, oh God, when was this? I hope it wasn't too long ago. I'm not stalling because I'm delaying. I'm just trying to think.
Good question, Tony.
Oh, I cried 2 weeks ago.
Okay.
Yes. I was reading a book that is really rooted in healing inner child and trauma wounds.
That's right up Tony's alley.
Yes.
All right.
A lot of the healing work I did in the past was from a moment that caused PTSD. Talk about it in my book, chapter 8. Yeah, it's pretty intense. So it brought up some stuff, even though I feel like really good. I felt super good for a long time. Like that book was really helpful because there's always work that you can do. And I was like, whew, kind of hit me.
We gotta have
Tony,
you back on. We gotta have
we'll
you back
connect
on.
For
later.
sure,
Oh
for sure.
Oh my goodness. Okay, last question. What's the most unusual or exotic food that you've ever tried during your travels, and did you like it?
Great question. Most exotic food I've had while traveling. I would say in China, I had frog legs. I did not like it, but I think that's because it was the first time I had tried everything, something that was so exotic and unique for me. Even though in China it's normal, it's something when you travel, it's like it's not weird, it's just different. That's what I always say. But I feel like if I didn't know it was frog, maybe I would like it. But you see the little feet, and it just makes me sad to think about.
Yeah.
And I think it was just so different. It was hard for me to wrap my head around. But if I grew up Chinese, I'd probably be like, "Oh, I'm having it for dinner."
It's funny.
You know?
I've had frog legs in Connecticut. It was weird, but it is what it is. Ali, it's another great episode of Authentically Us. Where can people find you in terms of like online, and what do you have coming next?
So people can find me on Instagram. That's probably where I post the most often, just about all the things I do. It's at Allie Archer. My name is spelled ALLY Archer. And then I have alliearcher.com is my music website. So I have all the links to like my mixes and like schedule, like where I'm playing next, if I have something coming up, which I need to update because I do. And then on my travel blog, it's called goseekexplore.com, and that has links to my book as well. And then some travel blog posts if you're interested in like travel tips and like tips on becoming a nomad and like all the other stuff. So, but I would say like if you want, my hub for everything is probably my Instagram.
We love it. Well, Ali, another great episode. Thank you again. And until next time, be authentic in everything that you do. Peace.
Thank you. So great to see you again and meet you, Tony.
Oh yeah. Bro. What doesn't she do? Like,
right.
She does everything. And the thing I love most, like, she does so much, but she does everything with intention. Like, and like, that's something I'm really sitting with. Of like, she doesn't know, she's not just randomly doing these things. She has intention behind everything. And if there's not intention there, she doesn't do it.
Yeah.
Which is really cool.
That's such a great observation, because I think people could hear this episode and be like, "Oh, she just is all over the place." And she's actually strategically doing it. She's not just jumping into things, which I love, and I love her mindset. Guys, we just talked for like 30 minutes after the podcast just about business and podcasting and how we can improve. So be on the lookout for Authentically Us Times Allie Archer. It's going to be another great collab. So Allie, thank you so much for everything you shared with us. And
Yeah,
I hope our
you.
listeners get something out of this. But you know what time it is, Tony. It is time of all times.
It's a moment, bro.
It's the moment. Friendship moment. Let's get into it.
So we've been rocking for a long time now. What would you say is one of my biggest blind spots?
Your biggest blind spot? That's a great question. I guess the first thing that comes to mind, I mean, we've talked about it, was like when it comes to like when we're all hanging out, right, or whatever, and when like your wife calls or your wife comes home, it's like if we're in a mid conversation, it's like everything stops in the world to tend to her, which I'm okay with because that's your wife. But what I'm not okay with is that like there's no explanation of why you just froze. It's like that computer sound, like when it just shuts down. It's like it just shut off, and then there was one time we were all hanging out at Tony's house and his wife turned on the lights. He stopped mid conversation. I gotta go. Went inside, and then that was it. That was the night. The night was over. We were like,
it was
all right.
Yeah.
See you, Tony. I guess that was it. Talk to you tomorrow.
It was bad, yo.
Yeah. So that would be the only thing, and I'm not saying like put us over your wife or your family.
No,
never.
no.
I'm just saying like
communicate.
Simply just communicate. That's it.
People would find it hard to believe that was my major in college.
Comms.
Yep.
Man, another great episode. I know I've said that multiple times on this podcast, but it truly was. I felt it.
Phenomenal.
And y'all keep rocking with us. Until next time, be authentic in everything that you do. Peace.
Peace out.